just wanted to make sure my microphone was working and all of the important things you have to check before you assume things are working in Teams.
And I am recording it now too, so I didn't do that in mine.
Perfect.
So, so thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate you agreeing to present with your colleagues here, and I'll let you kind of take over, and you can, you can share your screen if you'd like with the share up there, and it's all you. And I'll also help keep track of time. I might jump out of yours and jump over to Brandy just to make sure things are good, but I'll be back likely as well. So thank you again.
Okay, that's great. Hey, Jamie, do you have the share option? Mine is grayed out.
Mine's grayed out as well.
Do you want to quickly email me those and I can share them?
Sure.
You should be able to go up and give them permission and make them a presenter.
If you, yeah.
And if you can make me the presenter, because I'm going to run the slides.
Okay, Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, gotcha. So let's see. Make presenter. All right.
I'm working on that now. That's
Jamie,
perfect. It's now available.
Yep, gotcha, Jamie. And then
we're good.
Thank you.
Okay. Sarah, you want me to go ahead and share, or do you want me to wait a second? Okay.
I think we're good. Let's go ahead and get started because I'd love to leave time for questions at the end. I always love a good conversation. Okay. Well, thank you all. First of all, Ken, thank you so much for inviting us. We're really excited to be here. And we're excited to be a part of this CBE summit. It's really exciting to get to talk to people in other states and to share our story and also learn together. And so we're thankful that we're here with you today. I do want to go ahead and introduce our team because we are a team. So this is our CBE team. So we are with the Tennessee Board of Regents, and the Tennessee Board of Regents is the governing body across the state of Tennessee for all community colleges and all technical colleges. And at the system office, at TBR, they actually have hired us as a CBE team. So our whole goal is to work with our colleges across the state to help build and scale CBE programs. So we are a 3-person team. I'm Sarah Hazelton, and with me today are my partners, Jamie Nelson and Aaron Hughes. And we're going to share our story today with you on how we have worked to build CBE across the state of Tennessee. So we have a couple things we want to cover with you today. So Jamie, if you will advance our slide. We're going to talk a little bit about the creation of our team. We're going to talk about where we started and how we have sort of established ourselves as that change agent for education. We're going to talk to you a little bit about a program that we used called our CBE Development Ambassadors. And we're going to share our plan with you on how we're scaling CBE. And then we're going to give you a sneak peek at the next steps. So I'm going to pause real quick. I want, if somebody can give me the thumbs up. You guys can see the PowerPoint got lost. Can you guys still see the PowerPoint? Because I just lost it.
No, it's lost.
No. Yeah, I can't see it.
Okay, so here's rules when we present. We like to hear things. And so if the technology goes crazy or something's not working, just call it out to us. I promise you can't hurt our feelings. We also like to make things a conversation. So while we're going to tell you our story today of how we have worked to build CBE in Tennessee, please feel free to ask us questions along the way. We're going to try to leave room at the end, but if something comes up, we're always happy to field questions in the moment as we kind of walk through this story.
Okay, it took my access to share away.
You're on mute, Ken.
Yeah.
Let me
Sorry, Ken, I thought maybe you left. All right.
No, I didn't. I just
You should have it now, Jamie. Sorry. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay, and Ken, I am also, just in case things go completely sideways, I'm going to email you a copy of the PowerPoint,
Perfect.
just in
Okay.
case.
Great. Thank
I
you.
always like to have a backup plan for our backup plan.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get into this story. So in 2021, the Tennessee Board of Regents got very excited about the concept of building CBE. There had been a small grant with the JP Morgan Foundation and the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce prior to 2021 that had sort of started this conversation in an intentional way. And Jamie, I think you just lost share access again.
I did.
All right.
So while we work on that, I'll tell the story. Ken, I don't know if you got the PowerPoint. So while you bring that up, I'll keep telling the story. So Tennessee Board of Regents decided that they needed a dedicated team to help build and scale CBE across the state of Tennessee. And so in 2021, they hired 3 people. Jamie and I were part of the original team that got hired in 2021. We got to bring Erin on a little bit later, but we are very happy to have her as part of our team. We're on like slide 4, if that helps, Ken.
Yep, I'm getting there. It's
Okay.
asking me to verify my identity, which is.
Well, if we need to approve anything on our end, let us know.
I'm getting there. Let's see. Here we go. All
Perfect.
right.
It looks good to me right now.
It's running from my machine, but I'm scared it's going to throw me off again.
Okay. So they hired us in August of 2021, and as all good higher ed projects go, we were really excited, and we said, "Okay, what do you want us to do?" And they said, "Well, we hired you. You go figure it out." And we said, "Okay." So the first thing we did was we did a lot of research. We had a lot of conversations because our first objective was to define the vision of CBE in Tennessee. So if you'll advance, I think Jamie's got it. It looks like we learned a couple things. First of all, from almost every single we have 13 community colleges in our system. From all 13 of our colleges, in one way or another, they all told us, do not mandate this. Please don't mandate this. Don't mandate this. And we said, okay, we hear you. But we had to figure out a way to still drive interest. So how did we build those champions? How did we create opportunities for there to be CBE champions to drive that interest? So we decided we were going to create a vision statement for what does CBE look like in the state of Tennessee. And that vision statement is that we want to be an innovative, student-centric approach to post-secondary learning, that we wanted to promote open access and improve opportunities by removing barriers for adult learners in Tennessee. Competency-based education is designed for equitable student achievement by mastering clear and defined real-world competencies aligned with workforce needs, minimizing the time from enrollment to employment. Yep, you are on the right slide, but if you'll go to 7. Thank you. So our next step was to figure out, okay, we've had some conversations. We feel a little bit like we know where people are, but how do we get started? So the first thing we did right out of the gate was that we did what we called a CBE development grant. So we offered an opportunity for colleges to apply to work with us to help build CBE programs. We were really excited because we had 16 letters of interest, so 16 programs, 7 different colleges applied. And at the end, we were able to approve 6 of those programs. We were super excited. We provided training and one-on-one support, and there were some really cool programs. The way that it ended up working out is we actually ended up with 3 completed programs. And if you'll advance, Ken, one of the things that we have come to learn is that we would probably never do it that way again. And so one of my favorite things about presentations is when they share lessons learned. So I thought we'd share some lessons with you all about things we learned. Since you're talking about developing CBE programs, here's some lessons we learned. What we learned is that we had too long of a training curve. So when we were starting with CBE, there had been some initial conversations, but there hadn't been any base level training. So we were trying to ramp up this base level training with faculty, with administrators, with our instructional designers across the system. And we provided 8 months of training. That training timeline, though comprehensive, was really pretty long. And we missed the opportunity in some ways to help apply some of that. But that timeline also created a challenge with faculty and staff turnover. So as we saw people turning over, moving to new roles, we discovered we were constantly having to retrain staff that were part of this project originally. The other piece we ran into that was a little bit challenging is in the application process, it was departments in colleges that were applying. They said, this program, we want to build this program as a CBE program. Part of the application process was they also had to talk to the college administration. What we found out, though, was that the conversation about what the department thought that the implementation of CBE would look like and what the college thought the implementation of what CBE would look like did not always align. And so we've learned that you really have to back that conversation up and make sure that you really got a concrete plan lined out in the beginning that includes everyone at the table. Even though you think you're on the same page, you may not be. So making sure you have that really concrete plan that includes all those impacted areas. And we're going to talk a little bit more about those impacted areas when we talk about our ambassador project. But these were kind of our big 3 takeaways. These were our lessons learned in our grant project. Now, we did get 3 fully developed programs out of this, but we had an opportunity to do things differently. So if you will go forward, please, for me, that'd be great. So when the grant project ended, we said, okay, you know what? We need to take a step back and we really need to understand, 1, where our colleges are, 2, how we can help them, and 3, we had to go back to that concept of how do we create some champions. So if you will advance, please. We launched in the summer of 22, we launched a CBE Development Ambassador Program. And the point of that program was we provided the opportunity for all of the colleges to participate. There was a small stipend for the ambassadors. I'm getting a little bit of feedback, so
I am as well. I'm not sure. Someone maybe does everyone have their mics muted other than Sarah? That is kind of odd. You all can still see the screen though, right? The shared screen.
Yeah. You we're good.
There we go. All right. Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure what that is. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure that everybody could still hear. So we offered the opportunity for our colleges to have an ambassador. And actually, we are really excited. And we had all 13 of our colleges nominate an ambassador to work with us. The ambassadors were going to do a comprehensive needs assessment to help lay that foundation for CBE development. And they really were going to help promote CBE across the system. So selfishly, we really wanted everybody talking about CBE in the summer of 2022. We wanted to raise awareness across campuses. And we wanted to, so you remember when I said one of our lessons learned is we didn't have all the right people, we had a misalignment between the way that the administration at colleges was thinking that CBE would be implemented and departments were thinking the way CBE would be implemented. So this needs assessment was going to be a comprehensive approach to close those gaps at our colleges so that we had everybody at the table. So if you'll advance, please.
Right. There we go. Whoop.
You're good.
Right? Okay.
Yep. So our CBE ambassadors really took on an important role for us. So picture it. It's the summer of 2022. We have 13 community colleges, and at every single community college, they're having conversations about CBE. It was like the best summer ever. So those ambassadors were our liaisons. We were working with them one-on-one. Our team, so I'm gonna tell you a secret. This is our behind the scenes secret. Every single project we do, we design as a CBE experience. So whether it was our grant project, whether it was our ambassador project, we're going to talk a little bit about our Gen Ed project in a little bit. I'm going to tell you that we design everything as a CBE experience, and we do it intentionally because when I went to college, I didn't have an opportunity to be in a CBE program. Many of our faculty have never actually sat in the seat as a CBE learner. So we wanted to give them the opportunity to have a CBE experience that they could learn from on their own. Not only being a part of the project and learning about CBE, but actually experience a CBE project. So they were our liaisons. We were working with them all summer. They were also became our advocates because what part of our project was that we had them working with stakeholders across each of their colleges. So they were our advocates for building CBE awareness. And if you'll advance.
Got it. Oh,
they right. Did have, you're good. They did have some deliverables. So there was some very concrete deliverables for our ambassadors. Not only were they our boots on the ground champions, not only were they bringing stakeholders together, but we had 3 specific deliverables for them. First, they had to complete some training because we learned that we needed 1, a shorter training timeline, but 2, we needed a common understanding and be able to have some common conversations, even the language and the terminology and the approach. So we provided training. Now, each ambassador, so each college had a template. We provided a template, but there were 10 areas, and that was intentional. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but there was an actual written CBE needs assessment that each ambassador had to complete. And the only way for them to complete it was actually to talk to the stakeholders in their colleges. So we were helping them connect across their colleges with all of the important pieces that relate to CBE development, the important departments, the questions, all those things. We provided a template. The other deliverable for our CBE ambassadors was that not only did they have to write this needs assessment, then we scheduled a live 1-hour meeting to debrief what they learned. And at those meetings, it was our CBE team. It was our assistant vice chancellor at the system office. It was the ambassador, and it was anybody else at their college they wanted to invite. So sometimes we got presidents, sometimes we got CAOs, sometimes we got department chairs, sometimes we got the tech team, sometimes we got instructional designers, sometimes we got all of the above. We would have anywhere from 5 to 15 people in the room during the conversation. And the point of the conversation was we're not reading the needs assessment. We were actually having a conversation about what they learned and how they learned it and how we could address some of the challenges or the opportunities that came up. Because from our seat, when we started this ambassador project, we had 2 questions. This was really what we were looking for, what Jamie and I and our team were looking for. We basically had 2 questions. Where are you? And how as the system office can we help you develop CBE? So if you will advance one more slide. These are the areas of the needs assessment. So they had each of these 10 areas. Now I'm going to tell you real quick because I'm sure you'll have questions and I want to get to the good stuff because we got an amazing project out of this. Those 10 areas were actually connected. So we are accredited by SAC-COC. I think you're accredited by HLC, but each of those areas connects to the prospectus that we would have to write to get course credit hour accreditation with SAC-COC. So we were having them do the homework ahead of time to answer the question of what do you need to develop CBE? And so we did this needs assessment. We had amazing conversations. We spent an entire summer, and here's what we learned. If you will advance one more slide. We had some outcomes. Now, we actually have a graphic that Jamie did that's amazing, but here were the top outcomes that we learned. So when we talked to all these ambassadors, when we analyzed all of their needs assessment, we learned that the schools, 100%, all 13 of our schools said, we need your help training our faculty and staff. We need help with CBE training. 61% of the schools said, you know what, we really need help developing programs. We want to do this, but we need help developing programs. And the 58% of schools said, listen, before we get to programs, we actually need help with some course development. We need help in this space to get things started. So we took that information and we created a project. And I'm actually going to turn it over to Jamie to talk a little bit about the project, the first project that came out of our CBE needs assessment. So if you'll advance it one, Ken, I think Jamie can take it away.
Gotcha. All right.
Aaron, are you doing this? Do you want me to take it?
Oh, is this Aaron or Jamie?
I think it was Jamie until we get to
Okay.
After the first training. Yep.
Okay. All right.
So-
Let's go.
Because you experienced this part. I didn't. I wasn't here yet.
Yes. Okay. Next slide, please.
Okay, thanks. There you go, Aaron.
Okay, so when we were looking at moving into helping faculty with that course development piece, we kept hitting a wall in that even talking about the program development was, we would love to take on this project, but Gen Ed will never work. You cannot do Gen Ed in CBE format. So we kept hearing this in a conversation. So we decided, okay, let's just deal with the elephant in the room. So we paused for just a moment on what we were pushing on the CBE program development to focus on some Gen Ed development. So what we had done is we took an audit of the most commonly requested Gen Ed courses across our system. So what are those courses that students request the most? And we decided to work on that for in CBE format, to take that set of courses and work on those in CBE modality. And so we put out an advertisement, if you will, to our faculty across the system, the Gen Ed faculty, and we were optimistically holding our breath, thinking that we probably wouldn't get as many faculty as we needed. And in fact, we had triple the amount of faculty apply for the development positions. And we were so thrilled because we had faculty who were new to teaching. We had faculty who were a year away from retirement and everything in between. And so it was a great mix of veterans and new faculty. And so we brought them in and we provided training and support for them. And we're going to look at some of those insights. So next slide, please. So again, the purpose of this project was, again, to deal with that Gen Ed piece that we were bumping into at every turn. And so what we decided to do with those courses is that we would have our faculty subject matter experts develop this set of core courses. We at the system office retain the ownership of those master courses. We have them on a virtual shelf so that when each of our colleges starts their individual program development, they can request from us a copy of the Gen Ed courses that they need. We deploy a copy of that course of the master to them, and they can make minor tweaks on it, and then they have the ownership of that course. But we retain the ownership of the master. We also set pretty strict standards on how much of a course can be changed once a school adopts it, because we were scared that over time it would lose its essence of CBE and start to move back toward maybe just an online course. So we have some strict guidelines around those courses. Next slide, please. So this is in phase one. So we've done this Gen Ed development in two different phases. And so in phase one, this is a copy or a listing of the courses that we found that were in those most requested areas. So we had some communication courses, some social and behavioral sciences, history, humanities and fine arts, mathematics, and natural sciences included there. So we did 20 courses in that set. And so the way that it worked is that faculty were learning about CBE and what it actually means, how it's built, how it's deployed, how classes are managed. They were learning that information through the training process, but they were also developing their course during that time. And so it was a very hands-on training process. So let's look at the next slide, please. So that's the first set. And this is phase 2. And you'll see a couple of the courses up here, the chemistry course and a physics course that are just now getting to the end part of their development. And so in the second session, we had social behavioral sciences, math again, humanities, fine arts, history, and natural sciences. So a good mix again across these. And again, like we said, we've got 3 that are in their final edits at the moment. So then we'll have this core set of courses that the colleges then can then adopt a copy and take it to their school and do some minor tweaking for their own individual programs. Next slide, please. And I'm going to hand it to Erin and let her take off with the training.
All right. So in that first phase, and again, there was a year in between these 2 projects, the training and project management of the development of those first list of courses took on this format. So you see there's 4 core training courses and opportunities for the faculty. Starting with the orientation, we talked a little bit about how that was necessary just to build their knowledge and skills in what is CBE and how does that apply to the design of their course and their subject matter expert, because they're already an expert in that course, but how do we make that translate and that experience become CBE? And all of the hire paperwork and all of that contracting is in the first orientation. And then going from there, the trainings took on the different formats, again, taking them through the experience. So they're developing their skills in backward design, in adult learning theory, also looking at how to evaluate a course, how to craft competencies. What does it mean for a competency to drive the design of an assessment in a course? Looking at all of the other online elements like accessibility and universal design. And then going into the last session there on creating a learner-centered syllabus, which was new for a lot of faculty. And so at the bottom there, you'll see in all of this training, we developed the training in webinars, kind of like what we're doing now, but then also curated everything into a D2L course so that faculty could independently, after the training sessions, they could go in and reference any of the materials that we covered, as well as any other supporting documentation. Okay, next slide, please. So what did we learn from that? There's a theme here with our presentation, constantly improving. We learned from that first phase that we needed to simplify the training. We really needed to streamline that so that we could best support the faculty in their process and where they meet them where they were. We also recognized the need for consistency. This was at the point when I joined the team, and my first experience going and looking at the 20 courses, they're all different. So that was something we wanted to see if we could streamline a little bit for our evaluation, as well as from the learner's experience standpoint. This also was right at the time where we're being introduced to the power of AI and specifically ChatGPT tools. And so we incorporated that as a tool for faculty as well as for us in this second phase. We also streamlined, you'll see that in the next slide here, where the training aligned more in with the timeline of the deliverables we were expecting them to do. Could you go back one more? I was almost ready there. And then a couple other learnings is to have them develop and finalize their course map before we gave them access to building in D2L. That was huge. That helped to streamline and honestly improve their efficiency, that they already had the big picture already designed on paper, that we could greenlight them building, and separating those two tasks helped them to be more successful. And with that, one of the things that I brought to the team is I'm a template queen. And so I tried to do, again, reduce the friction, help them to build all the pieces on a Word document or an Excel document before they went into D2L. Okay, so then let's take a look at how that transformed into our different sessions here for our training. And here you'll see we did add another session. The orientation was very similar to the first phase. The second one was also very similar, where again, building that background information and understanding of what is CBE. We took out the adult learning theory. We found that that really wove itself naturally into some of the other topics. So again, helping to streamline our training methods. We really zeroed in on that one in the middle there about assessment design, and how the design of an assessment to measure competency really drove the development of the course experience. And using AI to help to authenticate what is an authentic assessment, asking it what is something that employers are looking for in demonstration of mastery. So that was really critical in that area. And then looking at how do you create rubrics, effective rubrics, course maps, and how to implement that regular and substantive interaction. And then the last one, then again, that when just in time when they've wrapped up and finalized their course maps, how do you work in D2L in the frames that we created for them and the course shells for them, and what we were expecting for them in that process. And also same thing with this, we created a D2L experience for them to go in, and were able to access all the recordings, all of the resource documents we created for them. We had a separate area for templates. And so again, to really support that just in time, if they were working a little bit behind our milestones, we had their backs for that. All right, so then the next slide, please. So also we added an intentional support strategy, and I'm going to start over on the top right, and Sarah's already mentioned it about creating this as a CBE experience, because we wanted them to experience what that looked like for learners themselves in our training. We also personalized everything. We work in our region map. So faculty that live in my area in Middle Tennessee are the ones that I facilitated and supported, as well as Sarah and Jamie in their regions. Created very realistic, attainable milestones for the deliverables along the way. We give them very detailed feedback, one-on-one coaching as needed. But then also we added roundtable sessions at critical points along the way, so that the faculty could get together in a room, in a virtual room, and talk about what are the issues they're facing, how they're facing those issues. And again, at this time is when AI and ChatGPT was on the scene, and so faculty could coach one another on how they were using it. So it was amazing, absolutely amazing. And so the next slide here, just a couple of the faculty insights that we were able to capture as a result of the second phase. And what we really saw was that faculty saw the value of backward design and CBE principles in teaching, like full stop. And a lot of them thought, I will never teach my courses the other way again. This is something that I want to adopt for all my courses, even if it's not a true CBE design course. They loved having the idea of working together and working with business partners, getting that feedback of what is valuable in the industry. So just wanted to leave it with that, and I think I'm handing it back over to Jamie.
I will add just one quick thing onto what Erin just shared. When we first initiated the conversation about, and you need to have your competencies validated by industry, we had faculty with terror on their faces, because being general education faculty, they don't necessarily interface with industry directly. But they went through that process. We worked with them, we helped connect them, and they really, really thoroughly enjoyed that. So I think that it gave them a lot of confidence in the content that they're covering in their courses as well, and its relevance to careers. Okay, so let's look at what's coming next. Next slide, please. So this is just kind of an overview of where we came from and where we find ourselves now. And we feel like very much, if you're looking at the CBE landscape, it's in our world too. It's picking up speed. It's moving very quickly. And so we feel like we've gone from 0 to 60 in just a few short years here. So you're going to see throughout this weaving of the things that we've talked about, you'll see little things pop up here like the let's see, the Alabama Department of Mental Health. So we have a fully functioning CBE training course that has been worked on and is being delivered. Sarah does a lot of management of that course. And we have many, many learners who have graduated through that course, and they are so pleased with that in the state of Alabama that they have requested another. And so she is working on that with another team that we have at TBR, and specifically with her CBE expertise and knowledge. You'll also see on here that you'll see Tech Talk Tuesday and some other things referencing AI. I'm going to move you to the next slide. And we're going to talk just briefly about AI and where it fits in with us. So we know in CBE that we've got to have our industry collaboration. We know we've talked on our program level development, our course level development, and being able to expedite program development now that we have that set of gen ed courses. But we also have this thing called AI, and it landed with the CBE team. And here's why we believe very passionately that we are the team to handle this piece. Because when we talk about over-reliance on AI and all the concerns that are out there in the world now about students using AI improperly, if you will shift your pedagogical practice and focus to authentic assessments and using competency-based principles, you will find much more success in implementing AI in your classroom. And so what we chuckle over as a team is, prior to AI coming on the scene, when we would say authentic assessments, we would get these looks on our faculty faces going, what are you talking about? If you go to a webinar now online, an AI webinar, you're probably going to hear authentic assessment come up. So it's like the CBE principles are really growing out into this AI world, and people are understanding that yes, we do need competencies, yes, we do need skill sets, and this is a way that we can look at it and talk about it. So we feel strongly that AI is also driving the CBE message out there, and that when you look at what industry is asking for, they're asking for competencies and skills and student skill sets with AI. And so we interweave that beautifully through our story. So we are now at the place where we do monthly AI trainings with stakeholders across our system, and we continuously talk about the tenets of CBE. And we don't sit down in the beginning of a meeting and say, "Hey, we're going to talk to you about CBE and how you can use that in the AI world." We come with them, so we're going to talk to you about implementing AI, and we just put our little CBE tenets weaved all the way through those activities and conversations. And we are starting to hear the terminology of CBE being spoken back to us by faculty who have not yet stepped into the CBE space. So as we move and go forward, we feel like too that industry is driving this push for CBE, as well as AI driving the push for CBE, as well as students seeing the value of being able to speak to competencies and skill sets. And so we are feverishly working over here in Tennessee to keep this freight train moving, and it's picking up steam. And so we are just very, very excited about the future for CBE and what that's going to entail in Tennessee and across our nation. On the next slide, we have an email address that you can reach out to us. We all monitor this email address. We are glad to share with you any information that we have or to connect you. One thing that we found about the CBE community at large is that it's a very open and sharing community, and that's true. And we had a lot of people that's helped us along the way. We still use them as thought partners. We go back and forth all the time. So we get outside of our system in Tennessee to share with the greater CBE community. We would encourage you to do that as well. And we're glad to share with you anything that we have tried, whether it's it's successful or has failed, or anything that we have that we're glad to share. So just reach out to us and we'll follow up.
Jamie, Aaron, Sarah, thank you. That was actually remarkable. Any questions from anyone in the? In my session, I had to see it. You can raise your hand, and then if I click on you, you'll be able to ask that question sort of verbally. So if anyone has questions, please.
I see
ask.
one. I see a
I was
question
going to say,
that said,
Jamie, I think
is driving CBE. So what I mean by that is when we talk to faculty, particularly in the humanities, who are very upset about what students can do with an AI tool, we talk to them about, okay, we need to look at the way you're assessing students. What do those assessment look? What does that assessment look like? Is it transactional? Are you giving them an assignment that says, produce for me a 3-paragraph essay? Those kinds of transactional assignments are what can get students into maybe a predicament with AI, because it can easily complete that assignment. So we have our faculty run all of their assignments through the AI tools to see the feedback that they get. And then we talk to them about how can we use the things that we do in CBE, which are performance-based, right? So they're demonstrating learning. We're focusing on process, all of those kinds of things. That's what I mean by the requirements to shift so that students are not over-relying. Those requirements that you can put in place are CBE based. And so that's what I mean when I say AI is driving it, because it's not enough that as faculty members, we can sit back and remain to do those transactional activities. So we need to think about how to shift our pedagogy.
Another question we focus. Okay, no, that's from Sarah.
No, that was me responding.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Sarah, Jen, there's Jen.
I just wanted to echo what you just said with AI driving CBE, because so many things that I've come up with my regular online classes, when I do it in the CBE class, I can kind of alleviate a lot of that pressure to rely on AI. I can have a lot more authentic assignments, like video assignments, where they actually have to talk and record themselves, and that's just not always possible in online classes. So I really appreciate your perspective that you bring from AI. Thank you for this sharing the CBE link to, or the CBEN link too. I was able to see you last year at CBEN. I'm hoping you'll present next year too, because I'm hoping to be there too. So thank you for all that. And I know you mentioned having that CBE lens on. Do you find that now that you have the CBE lens on, that you see it, use it all the time in other areas of life too? I'm just kind of curious, because that's been my understanding, my perspective on it too.
100%.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
You're looking at parenting from the CBE lens too. I'm sure just like almost everything in life, you can look at it from that perspective. So thank you.
Yes.
Well, and thank you for coming to our session at CBEN. We appreciate that you came, and we're hoping to be back this year too.
Right.
One other thing, another bonus, and looking at competencies and skills, this gives students a set of words, of language, to be able to speak to employers and say, this is what I know and can do. So then someone's saying, think critically, and the student says, what does that mean? What does it even mean? So we break that down with our, our faculty and say, when you're talking to students about thinking critically, what are the things that they're actually doing in this activity, so that they can then go to speak to employers and communicate out the competencies that they have mastered very well.
Okay. Well, with that being said, just in regards to time, so I want to thank our Tennessee team here for sharing their wisdom and perspective. Just remarkable work. Thank you all for what you're doing. So we're going to go ahead and end this session. You'll be kicked back into the main room, and we'll start the panel in about 5 or 6 minutes. So go ahead and grab a drink, use the restroom, whatever you need to do, and we'll see you back in about 5. Thank you, everyone.